Check, check. Check 1, 2. Check. You good? Check, check.
Thank you for coming today. Merci d'être venu aujourd'hui. I am Corporal Julie Kirshane. Je suis Corporal Julie Kirshane. We will provide an investigational update. Nous fournirons une mise à jour de l'enquête. From the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of Manitoba, we have Catherine Braun and Dr. John Eunice here today, who will be available for questions after we're done. Catherine Braun et Dr. John Eunice du Bureau du médecin légiste en chef du Manitoba est ici aujourd'hui pour répondre aux questions. I would now like to invite Superintendent Rob Lawson, Officer in Charge of Major Crime Services, to the podium. Je voudrais inviter le surintendant Rob Lawson, responsable des services de lutte contre les crimes majeurs, à prendre la parole.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. The collision that occurred near Carberry yesterday has captured the attention of the nation and the world. We have been inundated with offers of assistance and support. Thank you very much for that. Our investigators have been working through the night in order to obtain accurate, meaningful evidence, which they were able to do because of the initial response at the scene. Officers from the local Blue Hills RCMP were the initiators. These officers gave assistance to those who needed it and did a fantastic job in controlling and maintaining the scene during the first very crucial moments of the investigation. The scene was cleared at 2:25 this morning and the highway was reopened. Yesterday, I told you that I would provide you with answers as this investigation progressed. Today, I do have some answers for you. We fully recognize that timelines are very important for the families of those involved in the collision, as well as for the nation that is grieving alongside them. With the assistance of Shared Health Manitoba, the 10 people injured in this collision have now been identified. This means that anyone else who was on this bus is presumed now to be deceased. However, the deceased have not been individually identified at this time. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner is here today and will speak to their process in this regard upon any questions. For the last few hours, RCMP members have been having very difficult conversations with family members, unfortunately notifying them that their loved one is among the 15 believed to be deceased. These are answers, but obviously not the kind of answers people were hoping for. Our most heartfelt sympathies are with the families who have learned today that their loved one died in this horrific collision. Please know that the RCMP is here for you and we are grieving alongside you. As much as everyone is hurting right now, investigators are continuing their important work of finding more answers We are now in a position to provide you with an investigational update. I need to preface this information that I'm about to provide with a clear statement. We are not assigning culpability or laying any blame at this time. We are merely stating the facts as we know them. The investigation is still ongoing with lots of work to do in order to obtain 100% responsibility. The age range of those in the bus was between 58 and 88 years old. In total, there were 19 females and 6 males on the bus. Of the survivors, 6 are female and 4 are male. I will now provide you with some investigative details on what transpired. Firstly, we have obtained video footage of the collision that was seized from the semi-truck trailer. This video indicates that the bus entered the roadway where the semi-trailer truck had the right-of-way. Extensive analysis is being done on the video before any further determinations are made. We have seized the bus and the semi-truck, and both have been secured at this time. Further analysis will take place of both vehicles. We are determining whether the semi had an event data recorder that will help us ascertain a number of critical pieces of information, such as speed, exact coordinates, and the mechanical status of the vehicle. Investigators have taken witness statements from passing motorists. Those statements now corroborate what we are seeing on the video. In reference to both drivers, we have not spoken with the driver of the bus, as he is still being treated in hospital. Our primary concern at this time is his medical care and recovery. We have also spoken with the driver of the semi-truck, which is helping progress our investigation. Those are the answers we can provide right now with respect to the investigation. We are continuing to collect and analyze evidence and will provide further investigational updates as we progress. Last night, RCMP officers spoke to every single family. After hearing the emotions and concerns of the families, the RCMP has now set up a second family support center. So now we have one in Dauphin and one in Winnipeg. Each family will be presented with a direct RCMP contact that they can reach out to for support. We know this is of utmost importance. It is imperative that we all respect what the families are going through at this time. This is not easy. With the news that 15 families have received today, we ask that they have privacy in order to grieve. The investigation is continuing, and our commitment to keeping you updated remains the same. Lastly, if anyone has any further information or videos to share, please contact your local detachment and we will gather that evidence. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir. I would like to invite Inspector Tim Arsenault from Major Crime Services to the podium to read the French. J'invite Inspecteur Tim Arsenault à prendre la parole.
Bonjour. La collision qui s'est produite hier près de Carberry a attiré l'attention du pays et du monde entier. Et nous avons été inondés d'offres d'assistance et de mots de soutien. Nos enquêteurs ont travaillé toute la nuit afin d'obtenir des preuves précises et pertinentes, ce qu'ils ont pu faire grâce à la réponse initiale. Les policiers du détachement de la GRC de Blue Hills et de la section de la circulation de la GRC ont été les premiers à intervenir. Ces policiers ont apporté leur aide à ceux qui en avaient besoin et ont fait un travail fantastique en contrôlant et conservant la scène pendant ces premiers moments critiques de l'enquête. Les policiers ont quitté les lieux à 2h25 ce matin et l'autoroute a été réouverte. Hier, je vous ai dit que nous aurons des réponses au fur et à mesure de l'avancement de l'enquête. Aujourd'hui, nous avons des réponses pour vous. Nous sommes tout à fait conscients que la diffusion d'informations est importante pour les familles des personnes impliquées dans la collision, ainsi que pour le pays qui est en deuil à leur côté. Avec l'aide du bureau du médecin légiste en chef, les 10 personnes blessées dans cette collision ont été identifiées. Cela signifie que toutes les autres personnes qui se trouvaient dans cet autobus sont présumées décédées. Les personnes décédées n'ont pas encore été identifiées. Le bureau du médecin légiste en chef est présent aujourd'hui et parlera de ces procédures à cet égard. Au cours des dernières heures, la GRC a eu des conversations très difficiles avec les membres des familles pour les informer que leurs proches faisaient partie des 15 personnes présumées décédées. Ce sont des réponses, mais pas celles que les gens attendaient. Nous adressons nos plus sincères condoléances aux familles qui ont appris aujourd'hui que leurs proches sont décédés dans cette collision. Sachez que la GRC est là pour vous et que nous sommes en deuil avec vous. L'enquête est toujours en cours et il reste beaucoup de travail à faire pour confirmer à 100% la responsabilité. La tranche d'âge des personnes présentes dans l'autobus était de 58 à 98 ans. Au total, il y avait 19 femmes et 6 hommes. Parmi les survivants, 6 sont des femmes, 4 sont des hommes. Je vais maintenant vous donner quelques détails d'enquête sur ce qui s'est passé. Nous avons obtenu une vidéo de la collision à bord de la semi-remorque. La vidéo indique que l'autobus s'est engagé sur la chaussée alors que le camion avait la priorité. La vidéo fait l'objet d'une analyse approfondie avant que d'autres décisions ne soient prises. Nous avons saisi l'autobus et la semi-remorque. Les deux ont été sécurisés. Des analyses complémentaires seront effectuées. Nous chercherons à savoir si la semi-remorque était équipée d'un enregistreur de données qui nous aidera à déterminer un certain nombre d'informations essentielles, telles que la vitesse, les coordonnées exactes et l'état mécanique. Les enquêteurs ont recueilli des témoignages de personnes qui ont vu la collision. Ces déclarations corroborèrent ce que nous voyons sur la vidéo. Nous n'avons pas parlé au chauffeur de l'autobus car il est toujours soigné à l'hôpital. Notre principale préoccupation à l'heure actuelle est de son retour à la santé. Nous sommes également entretenus avec le conducteur du semi-remorque, ce qui fait avancer l'enquête. Telles sont les réponses que nous pouvons apporter pour l'instant. Nous continuons à recueillir et à analyser des preuves et nous fournirons d'autres mises à jour sur l'enquête au fur et à mesure de nos progrès. Hier soir, les policiers de la GRC ont parlé à chaque famille de 25 occupants de l'autobus. Après avoir entendu les émotions et les préoccupations des familles, la GRC a mis en place un deuxième centre de soutien aux familles, de sorte qu'il y en a maintenant un à Dauphin et un à Winnipeg. Chaque famille se verra remettre un contact direct de la GRC qu'elle pourra contacter. Nous savons que c'est la plus haute importance. Il est impératif que nous respectons tout ce que les familles traversent en ce moment. Avec la nouvelle que 15 familles ont reçue aujourd'hui, nous demandons qu'elles puissent faire leur deuil en toute tranquillité. L'enquête se poursuit et notre promesse de vous tenir en courant reste inchangée. Merci.
Thank you. Merci. So we will now take questions. Nous allons maintenant répondre aux questions.
Sorry, could you just repeat the question, sir? At this time, we don't know. We don't know why the bus proceeded into the lane there. That is something that we're going to continue to look into, though. The video, I don't want to get into all the details about the video. It is very short, and there's a lot of analysis to be done on that video, which is very key to the investigation. So at this time, I can't elaborate any further on that, but that will come. Yes, it was a dash cam pointing straight out the front of the semi. Yes. Right. So there was 25 on the bus, and the 26 would be the driver of the semi, and he is out of the hospital. That's correct, ma'am. Yeah. I personally wasn't at the scene. All I can say is there was dozens, if not hundreds, of people that responded to the scene initially. There was people stopping roadside. We had the RCMP officers. We had, our first responders, our ambulance drivers, our fire, our paramedic. I don't know exactly how many volunteers that were stopped there, but I know there was copious amount of people. Absolutely.
La question, tu veux... La vidéo, ça vient du semi-remorque. Et la vidéo, la position est dans, ça part en avant. Oui. Le vidéo vient du semi-remorque. Puis c'était un vidéo comme n'importe quel autre véhicule, tu vois, ça s'était pointé par en avant. Des bénévoles, on est certainement dans la GRC, c'est tous des employés qui travaillaient cette journée-là. Des bénévoles, je sais qu'il y en a dans des incendies, puis on n'a pas ce numéro. Non, le chauffeur du camion n'est pas à l'hôpital. Puis il y avait 25 personnes dans l'autobus, puis le chauffeur du camion sera numéro 26. OK.
The worst possible outcome for us is to mistakenly identify someone and give wrong information to families. So we have to undertake a scientific means of identification of each of the deceased. To accomplish that, we have a few avenues to explore. One would be fingerprint analysis. So we are going to check and see if any of the reported deceased individuals have fingerprints on file, which can be quickly matched to people during post-mortem examination. Failing that, the next step would be to try and identify the deceased using dental records, as well as features of their medical history or surgical history, which might be of assistance. For instance, if they have any medical prostheses, hip replacements, knee replacements, that would have serial numbers that we could identify during a post-mortem examination. It takes, now that my office and my investigators have the names of the suspected deceased individuals, they're in the process of acquiring all medical information that can be found as quickly as possible, including dental records from their reported dentist's office. And once we have those records, we can proceed with the post-mortem examination and try to make our identifications based on findings from the postmortem examination with what we've acquired during the course of our investigation. Presently, we have 3 investigators working full-time on this case, trying to gather now all the information that we'll need to make the identification or assist with the identification. And my hope is that beginning on Monday, we'll be able to start doing the postmortem examinations in rapid succession with the goal of having everyone identified, if possible, using these means by the mid-portion of the week. Yes. As each deceased individual is identified positively, family will be notified by our office. No, not at this time. I'll add, it's the last option we have for identification, which is a last resort, is using DNA comparison. And that would involve gathering DNA samples from the deceased individuals during the postmortem examination and then comparing those to samples from the deceased, which we would acquire from their home, for instance, toothbrushes, hairbrushes, that sort of thing, or if necessary, DNA from immediate family members that we could use for comparison purposes. With expedited results, that can take a number of days to a week to get the result. No, not in my experience. I've been working in the province or training in forensic pathology here for the last 30 years, and there hasn't been an event like this in that time. I've seen photographs of the scene and all of the deceased individuals. And the reason we have to undertake scientific means of investigation or of identification is that most, if not all, of the deceased have significant facial trauma. So identifying them visually is not possible. So that's why we have to resort to a more scientific means.
They're very tough conversations, to be frank. They're very tough. They're very compassionate, very sensitive, and sad. You know, I've been there personally over my career, but nothing of this magnitude. A lot of our police officers that are conducting these investigations are very junior in service. This will impact them for the rest of their career and potentially the rest of their lives. I believe it's 100 kilometers an hour. That's something we're going to continue to look into, that we have to verify. Like I said, both vehicles are going to undergo a very extensive analysis, mechanical analysis, and we have certain tools and techniques that we can hopefully gather that information, because we want to provide the most accurate information that we can. We don't have that right now. What I've said today is you know, quite sensitive as it is. However, that information will come. So, ma'am, your question, just to reiterate so I'm clear, was roughly how long a type of investigation would take? So these investigations can take actually longer than 3 months than that you referred to. It depends on on what we find. We're finding new information all the time, and sometimes these investigations require, certain judicial authorizations that can take a lot of time to present that authorization to a court, and then to gather that evidence after. So there's a lot of things, and it's very dependent on how long some of the survivors are in hospital. We don't want to approach people that are in recovery because re-interviewing them could be very traumatic, or it would be very traumatic. So we need to be very sensitive to that, and very patient as investigators, and that's why we're asking, the public to be patient. And that was a very good question. Thank you. I'm not sure about that right now, but the Manitoba driver's licensing does have various licenses that for different types of vehicles, but that is something that we're going to look into to make sure that's all kosher for sure. Right. Yeah, so I can't say where that resource center is now, because that resource center has been specifically selected and designed for the families. So we don't want to risk out that they're going to get a lot of visitors or, attention, right? Pressure. From what I hear, physically the truck driver's doing well. We have spoken to the truck driver. We haven't taken a formal statement from him. And ma'am, to answer your question, I'm not sure exactly where he's from. I know he frequents the Manitoba area, but I don't know his exact address. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, that's a very sensitive question as well, and for respect of the families, I can't divulge that. That could be very hurtful and impactful, so I'm not going to go down that road.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.